Alright guys, this is Brennan Sullivan and I am doing the top 10 worst films of 2018. So usually for this video, especially I did for the top 10 best films of 2018, I had a different style, but I'm going to go back to this style because I feel like I can give you better content and it's a lot easier to rant about these films instead of just sitting in front of a camera for 12 minutes and just ranting about shitty films. If I break them up better, I can definitely give you guys my overall opinion and really work and give you guys better content. So I'm gonna do it like this. You're not gonna see this my face in this one. You're just gonna see trailer shots. But let's get started with my top 10 worst films and just let you know some of these films. People actually liked, and I know people actually liked them. I couldn't stand a single film on this. It's weird because this year did have statistically, at least from my perspective, one of the best years in film in a long time. But there were some shitty films this year that I cannot overlook, and I'll show you this right now. Some very bad films. So let's get started. It's going to be the top 10 worst films of 2018. Number 10. Alright guys, coming in at number 10 is a film I actually was really excited for. I like Shane Black, and it's The Predator. I could not stand this film. Bad dialogue, terrible jokes. It was trying to be like a rated R Marvel film, and I didn't understand why. Even Michael Scott was trying his best to do something. Usually he can save shitty films. A lot of his films sometimes are just bad, and he's the best part of it. He kind of like brings it up, but even his character was not given anything. His lines were corny as shit.
Hey Baxley, if your mom's vagina were a video game, it'd be rated E for everyone.
Everything about this movie just felt like it was rushed, which it was, and it was reshot 1,000 times, and they didn't edit it properly, so it didn't feel like it was cohesion. It just felt like straight garbage. It just felt like everything was just a jumbled mess from the beginning, and that's why it's at my number 10. That's why it's at my number 10, because it's just so incoherent. The action scenes weren't fun. Nothing about this thing was fun. It was just a Shane Black movie that didn't feel like a Shane Black movie, and that's why it's at my number 10, unfortunately. Number 9. Alright, coming in at my number 9 is another film I wanted to see until the trailers came out, and that is Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. This film is sad because the director did a great job on A Monster's Call. I really did Monster's Call, and it felt personal to me as well. So I really dug that film, and the same director came back to direct this film, and this is just a cluttered mess. I mean, so many stupid things that happen in this film, from like T-Rex blood to let's have the rest of the film just be in this dark, like dirty ass freaking mansion, to people not having cell phones. It was a jumbled mess, and even the director, it was just funny. Even the director came back and said, "Hey, this film is actually supposed to be just a filler film. It was just a filler film, so it could set up another film, which is that's the film they want to do." And even in that film, the director said that dinosaurs are not going to be running around in the city and doing stuff. So I don't understand where they're going. I think Trevorrow is not that good of a director. He's never made a great film. I didn't see his indie film, but all of his big blockbuster films have sucked. And thank God he got booted from Star Wars. Overall, this film was just a mess from the beginning. There are some great moments in the film, and there's some great hints at great moments in the film, and it's just ruined by piss poor management. I don't understand where it went wrong. I think they tried too much, and they should have tried to make a good film and not try to have a sequel bait for the next one. And that's why, unfortunately, it does fall right here at my number 9 spot. Number 8. Alright, guys, coming in at number 8 is another film that's 6, 7 part. I forgot how many are in this thing. It's just like Jurassic Park and just like The Predators, another series that needs to die, and that's The Nun. This film is not scary at all. It's really not. I don't really get scared that much at films, but I want at least creepiness. And there's nothing creepy about it. We're just wandering around corridors at night, very, very dark, going, and then all of a sudden, boo boo, something would pop out, and it's not even good. It's like a 12-year-old would be scared of it, or a 9-year-old would be scared of it, but it's marketed towards adults that shouldn't be scared of this. It's very bad, and it turns into a hokey pokey like mummy film towards the end, and throughout the film it does too, but especially towards the end with zombies and stuff. And I actually started bursting out laughing in the theater when I saw one part. I won't spoil it, but it was like a holy hand grenade from my Python and the Holy Grail. That pops up at one point, and I just started bursting out laughing. Throughout the film, though, this ghost can do pretty much anything it wants. It creates matter at parts. It's very strange, very weird, and I don't know what they're doing with the Conjuring franchise, but they just need to make Conjuring 3 and just get rid of it. Nothing besides the Conjuring trilogy, I mean, 2, going to be a trilogy, has been any good. And this just proves it again. Not scary, not fun, and that's why it lands right here at my number 8 spot. This is a disaster from the beginning.
Number 7.
Alright, guys, coming in number 7 is another sequel. And it's a kids film, so I don't hate this film. I was just bored out of my mind because none of the jokes were funny, and that is Hotel Transylvania 3. Again, I've never really liked any of these. I never saw all the way the second one all the way because I just got bored one day, and I just put it on, and then halfway through it I was like, nah, I can't do this. But this film is just it's just not funny. I'm gonna keep this short. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not cute. Nothing about it is like interesting. Nothing about the film I even liked at all. A lot of it was just quite boring. That's all I have to say about this. It was boring. It was boring, not funny. Everything was a mess. That's why it's number 7. It's right here, number 7, for a reason, and that is sad because it is a kids' movie. People did like this movie, but I could not stand 1 minute of it.
Number 6.
Alright, guys, coming in at number 6 is an interesting one because I'm pretty sure this is purposely supposed to be bad. And I wish they would have just stayed that route and made it purposely bad because this film tries to be smarter than it is, and that's The Meg. Jason Statham, I like him in a few films. I don't mind him in the Fast and Furious films, even though I don't like the Fast and Furious films. But overall, this was just a mess. Like, it tries to overthink itself and think it's like a better movie than it is, and it's just dumb. It's just really, really dumb. Um, and it's fun when it's dumb. It's fun when it's dumb. I can get into it. I can be like, oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. Jason Statham's fighting a shark. Ha ha ha. But then it just like tries to get serious. And like for a lot of it, the Meg's not in it. And we're just hearing people talk. And they're talking about complete nonsense. They couldn't even get the size of the shark right. They're pretending like the shark's bigger than it is. It's just a lot of it just pretends to be a film that isn't about a giant shark. And I don't know why they thought anything else besides just putting that in would have been good enough. It would have been good enough to show me a damn shark getting chased by Jason Statham. Perfectly fine. That's why this lands at my 6th spot because it's just it tries to be two different films, and the two different films don't collide at all. And I wish they would have stuck with it being stupid, and I would have 100% enjoyed it. But unfortunately, it's right here, my number 6 for a reason.
Number 5.
Alright, guys, coming in at my number 5 is another film I'm going to keep short because I honestly walked out of this film because it was incompetent, and that is Mary Poppins Returns. This film is not memorable at all. It's honestly one of the most annoying films I saw, and I walked out of it for a reason because the songs are not good. Nothing about this film actually makes sense. A lot of it is just jumbled mess. It's like they thought that the songs would do it justice, and they created the songs first, and they're like, oh yeah, these are going to be memorable, which they're not even close to the original songs. And then they took a storyline and they threaded it together, but they had the songs first because the storyline is just all over the place. We're just thrown into different scenarios, one after another, and a song will start that scenario, and then it'll cut, and then a song will start another scenario, and it just that's literally the whole movie for an hour. I thought I was there for 2 hours. I was only there for an hour, and I'm just gonna keep this short right now. That this movie is obnoxiously stupid, and the songs aren't good. Nothing about it is good. It's a complete and utter waste of time, and I'm sad to say because I generally enjoy the original, but this film was just a mess. Even though it's getting good reviews, I mean, you might find enjoyment in it. I found it extremely boring and extremely annoying, and that's why I walked out of this film.
Number 4.
Alright, by the trailer standard, the number 4 is a film that shouldn't have been good. It wasn't good, and it's a pretty typical not good film that came out in the summer, I think, and that's The Girl in the Spider's Web, which is far different than Fincher's version of it, which I couldn't understand why they're doing that because Fincher's version wasn't met with good criticism sometimes, and it was very slow and it didn't appeal to audiences. So they went into a different route, which is this route. But holy shit, this movie! I love this because me and my buddy, we were the only people in the theater, and we just ripped this film apart. There is some nonsense in the film. Okay, I'm gonna speed through this, but I'll give you a scenario. So somebody kidnaps a kid, right? So girl in the spider web, she's gonna run after the car, get to the car, right? Knock the person out. Don't shoot him. Knock the person out. Then she starts running, right? Cross a bridge. Bam. And then all of a sudden, they're shooting at him. Okay, of course, because you get knocked out. 2 seconds later, you can reappear. She starts shooting at him. She drives the car backwards, right? Driving the car backwards. Da 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 da. Somebody's shooting at her. Da 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 da. Doesn't even hit the windows. None of the windows get shot out. Then she stops. And I was like, what the hell's going on? She gets out of the car. She goes to the side, right? And the bridge is retractable. It can go up and down, right? She climbs all the way to the top, gets into the control panel, and pushes the bridge up, right? And I'm like, okay. She climbs all the way back down, right? And then all of a sudden her sister appears out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, okay, your sister's there. And this is not a spoiler, by the way. It's in the trailer. Your sister's there, okay, and they just do this. They just stare off, right? And stare off for about like a minute, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what happened to the people on the bridge? They only got shot up. It's not like they fell off the bridge or anything. They were still up there, like, oh, I'm just gonna stay here and do nothing and just. I feel like I should shoot the sky. No, they're below us, so maybe I should do something. Nah, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna stay up here. It's that incompetent. Holy shit, this film is just. I could go on and on, on and on about this film because this film, ooh, it was it's actually the best experience I had in the theater of any of these movies because me and my brother just ripped the shit out of this movie throughout the film. We're like, what the hell is going on? Half the time, it's very jumbled mess and doesn't make any sense. That's why it lands right here in my number 5 spot because it's just, my number 4 spot because it's just. It was amazingly awesome. That's all I'm going to say.
Number 3.
Alright, coming in my number 3 spot is a very polarizing film, I guess, because it's a very religious film, and people get probably upset because I hate a religious film, whatever. And that's I Can Only Imagine. Going into this film, I actually was generally excited to see it. It looked good. The trailers weren't that bad. I was like, this might be sappy, but I'll go see it, alright? And holy shit. The editing in this film, it jumps from him, like, leaving his house, like, I'm not going to see you ever again, right? And then all of a sudden, it's their graduation. And I'm like, okay, so what happened in between that? Then all of a sudden, he gets mad at his girlfriend and just leaves town. And it's very jumbled, it's very jarring. And then all of a sudden the typical cliches start happening, the typical biopic band cliches start happening, and it's just a jumbled mishmash of things. There's the trope of, yeah, I gotta go home to find myself, and once I find myself, I'll get a better person, and I'll become a better man, and I'll get a better career, and and it's like that for the whole movie, and then the religious stuff starts throwing in, and it doesn't hinder from the movie. It just makes it more sappier and more sappier. And this film is just, that's all it is. It's just a big sappy manipulative film that doesn't make any sense for most of it. I was honestly trying not to laugh because there was people watching the film, and I was trying not to laugh at the film that much because it seemed like they were enjoying it. Definitely not a movie for me. If you like that kind of sappy, like religious stuff, I say go see it. But this is by far my worst film I've seen in terms of a normal story. Because my next two top two films are just bonkers, crazy, stupid shit that happens in those films. This is the most well done version of some films, but it just doesn't work for me. It's not good. It's not fun, and that's why it's right here at my third spot.
Number 2.
All right, coming in my number 2 spot is a film I did not honestly think was going to be beat this year. I thought this film, when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is the worst movie of the year, the opus of shit that I saw this year, and it's not, surprisingly, but this is a terrible film no matter what, and that is Slender Man. God, I went to this movie because the first trailer, I was like, okay, it sold me a little bit. I'm gonna go see it. I see most movies for free anyway, so it doesn't even matter. I was like, yeah, okay. Some people wanted to see it, so I went to see it with my friends, and nonsense, just complete nonsense. There's nothing scary about the film. It was probably the least scariest film I've ever seen in my entire life, besides my number 1 spot, which is even less scary. This film is incompetent. Nothing happens in the film. Most of the film is just random scenes that don't correlate together. You don't know what the dude's power, like the Slender Man's power is. You don't know where his origin is. You know nothing about him. It never explains anything about him. It just throws this jumbled mess together and tries to be scary, and nothing is creepy. It's honestly boring, and that is the worst the worst offense about Slender Man. It's just, honestly, it's boring. It's tedious, it's boring, it's just the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again until we get to the ending, which doesn't explain anything. It's just laughable. At this point, towards the end, you're so just ready for the film to end that you just don't even pay attention anymore. Nonsense for about 2 hours. And that's why right now it sits in my number 2 spot, which is hilarious because I thought this film was going to be worse than it was. I thought it was going to be the worst thing ever. And, well, get ready for my number 1.
And number 1.
Alright, guys, coming in my number 1, I'm going to keep short again. I already have a full review of the film right after I saw it, and that is Hannah Grace. This is actually the film that got me back onto this channel. I was like, I gotta review this film because it's that fucking awful. People don't know how elevators work. Elevators were open randomly, closed randomly. That means somebody opened the door. That means somebody closed the door. Don't investigate it. There's supposed to be nobody down there. This movie is by far the most jumbled mess I've ever seen in my entire life. Again, there's one scene where we gotta go stop the bad guys. It cuts, and all of a sudden it's the conclusion of the film, and it's so jarring that I feel like they just didn't care about reshooting it. They just kind of just were like, let's just skip it, skip to the ending. We're running out of budget. Characters will disappear randomly. Other characters won't go investigate. Oh, hey, where did Jim Bob go? They just kind of just disappear. Like they didn't know how to create normal storytelling, so they just kind of threw shit on a screen and didn't understand how to connect it all. That's why it's number 1. It's the worst piece of shit I've seen this year. It's the worst kind of film that a film could do. If you want to see like a full review, I have a full review on this channel. If you want to go see that actual review, it gives a lot more in-depth versions of what the film is and why I didn't like it. So that's my number 1, guys. That's my number 1, my opus of shit. President Hannah Grace, congratulations. You were dog shit this year. All these films were not good. I recommend not seeing any singles of one of these films, and I recommend seeing better films. Go out, enjoy life, and don't see any of these films that obviously didn't want any attention, didn't have any desire to be good, and from the very beginning were awful pieces of shit. So thanks again, guys, for listening. Hopefully you guys liked this video and subscribe, like, all that stuff. I appreciate it. Alright, guys, I'll see you next time.